I mean, I'm not saying like I have a hot vag, but I mean, they literally show like your vagina. If like one vagina lip hangs lower, they
No.
Donna, they get in there, girl. Like your balls. They talk about like all these dudes come on, they're uncircumcised. They got their.
Well, so here's my thought is like, would
got
we
it.
ever pick who we're with if we hadn't seen their face and met their personalities? Probably never.
Never. That's another great one. Like, I'm sure if I saw my husband's dick first, he'll really appreciate
And it's
this.
not
Like,
even like in a aroused position, right? It's
no,
like, yeah.
no,
Oy.
not aroused. They're not. And some women rule them out based on just because they're not even aroused. Like they're like, oh, this dick is like way too big. I can't even handle it. Like I couldn't handle it like this way. I can't handle it erect. You're out. Like add it to your list, girl.
Okay, I guess I will.
Okay, on Daily Dose of Donna, you cover
Yes.
everything. A lot of Bravo stuff.
Yeah.
But then you'll talk like Britney Spears, you'll talk Jada Pinkett Smith. What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite category to cover?
I mean, I am a huge Bravo Housewives like lover. I've always been since day one. So I really do enjoy talking about the Bravo stuff and the Bravo celebrities and like the scandals and things that happen behind the scenes. I will touch on, regular celebrities like the Britney Spears and the Jada Smith and stuff like that. I'll touch on those when I find it interesting. So what I tend to do is I don't even just go, like, I don't go to page 6 and say, what are the top stories? I'm going to talk about that. If it's about like Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner, I'll probably skip. Like, I'm just not interested. So I'll just talk about what I'm interested in because I think that being a 42-year-old woman, a lot of my audience tends to agree with a lot of my like interests and there's people that are like, oh my God, if you talk about, Vanderpump Rules one more time, I'm out. People always say stuff like that. But in general, I just kind of pick and choose what is interesting to me. Sister Wives is always on that list.
I know.
Always.
I know.
Sab and Robin, can't get enough. But it's really just kind of like whatever jumps out at me. I don't know how to explain it.
No, that's a good filter, right? I mean, look, you knew that. I'm sure you learned that in casting. It's a part of it's your gut intuition. You meet, you probably see somebody that you're like, oh my God, they're going to be a hit. Eventually you learn
100%, 100%. And I will say something I do, which I'm pretty sure you kind of do this too, Sarah, is you march to the beat of your own drum. Like there are people out there that give me comments every single day on YouTube saying, oh my gosh, if you like move on with it. I don't care about your life. Why are you talking about you? Go right into the story already. I'm like, if this is not your show, because I am not E! News, I'm not, Access Hollywood. I don't give you the gossip. It's Daily Dose of Donna, Sarah Fraser Show. Like we are who we are. And I think there's something really special about that. I used to always teach this because I have a history of helping entrepreneurs build their online businesses and like on social media. And so I would always say, if you're on Instagram stories and you're only just showing business stuff or work stuff or your products that you're selling or your whatever, it's boring. I want to know what's going on in your mind. I want to know what you're doing or what you're eating for breakfast. So I say the same thing about podcasting. Like my favorite podcasts that I listen to all the time all show up with a personal like story or whatever going into the show. It's not like, hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about Shannon Bedore. I want to know about the person. I want to feel like I have a friend in my ear.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It's interesting you bring that up. A lot of women, I'm sure you have a big female audience too. The women that listen to my show, many of them are on the cusp of making a career change or ending a relationship. You have given people business advice for a long time. I'm curious, what do you think is, and every business is different, so this is a pretty general question, but what do you think is the biggest thing now for people that want to like start their own business or, jump off a cliff and, go to a startup? I mean, do you think it's having a personal story or do you think there's another?
I think a personal brand is the most important thing anyone can have online now. Like, I think there's so much power in being able to say, I am who I am, aside from what I do. To me, that's going to differentiate why I want to follow someone, why I want to listen to someone. There's a lot of people out there that like to keep things very, I guess vanilla in their content, and they don't want to ruffle feathers, and they don't want to say anything that will upset anyone, so they don't say anything at all. For me, I'm a big believer of being who you are, going and kind of doing your own thing. And podcast, you can start a podcast for basically almost for free, right? I do help people do that because a lot of people talk themselves out of it. And then also you could also start a TikTok channel where you're breaking down your favorite things, or deep diving MLMs, or, you know, anything that you want to do, you can do. YouTube. Being a content creator is such a freaking awesome path for some people. It's a lot of work, but I think everyone should try it.
Oh my God. It's so true. It's so true.
And by the way, you can't be scared about pissing people off, because you will piss people off. I can literally tell you my favorite pizza is cheese pizza, and I will get DMs saying you're crazy. Like, that's insane. How dare you?
I always tell people, exactly, now is the time, because you don't even have to be controversial to be controversial. I feel like back in the day, like Howard Stern, and, you know, I was a morning radio host. I mean, we were always we were bailing Bobby Brown out of jail. We were doing these big
Stop
stunts. Yeah, he was like in jail for not paying Whitney Houston child support for the 5th time. So we like paid his child support. He was supposed to come co-host with us. Actually, you'll love this story. He was supposed to come co-host on the radio show for us.
Yeah.
And Phaedra Parks was his attorney.
This is way before.
Yes. And we got Phaedra on the phone. She was the most apologetic, low-key attorney speak, nothing like what you see today. Like, basically, like, I'm really sorry, my client, like, yeah, we paid him $22,000 from iHeart, and he refused to come to DC, refused. They had to pay the money back. She had to negotiate that back.
Whoa.
Phaedra Parks. And Kane was like really lighting her up, but he was like, you know,
what was your show called?
It was called The Kane Show.
Okay.
And it was in Washington, D.C. It was syndicated. We were on Sirius XM for a few years. And so it became really big on the Northeast. And but anyway, yeah, that was my Phaedra Parks. Oh, I have so many crazy, like,
I'm sure, like, before they were famous.
Oh my God, Justin Bieber came in with a guitar. He was 15 years old.
Yep.
They had some manager, and the guy kept saying, this guy is it. He's going to be huge. We were like, please. You know, he was 15. He we were like, oh, give me a fucking break. And he sang Baby acoustic. And again, we like took some photos of video. We were like, see ya. And then it became huge.
By the way, I still listen to Baby when I need to pump myself up. That's one of my favorite songs in the world. And I had the same stories. I mean, we discovered Zendaya. My partner and I found Zendaya when she was 12 years old. She came into audition for us, and we put her on Disney Channel because we cast that show, Shake It Up, which was her first show. So many stories like this, like crazy stories, right? Where we were hanging out with Selena Gomez and Zac Efron and stuff when they were so young and running around. It was, I think we can like write a book about being around these people before they were famous.
Well, speaking of being true to yourself, you know, I've learned a lot from you over the past 10 days with everything happening in Israel. You are a proud American Jewish woman. You've said this on your story. I've learned so much. And so, you know, was it hard for you at all to speak up, or you just were like, this is who I am. I'm going to say what I say. And I mean, I'm sure you've lost followers. I'm sure people have said they'll never listen to you again. I mean, believe me, I turn around and fart and people say that. So it's been a long time. I'm used to people being like, I'm out, you know, like,
you know, this was like such a crazy experience because obviously, so it occurred on a weekend, the first original massacre, the attack on October 7th, it was on a Saturday. So I wasn't online. I was online, but I wasn't like creating a show that day. Thank God. And I was just learning along with the rest of the world, right? Like as the day went on. But here's the thing. My mom was in Israel, and I have family, my grandmother, who is literally on the last days of her life right now, which is tragic, and I can't even get into it, is in Haifa in Israel. So my mom was born in Israel, and we have very strong ties to Israel because of that. My stepdad has a house there, and he has kids there. Like we're always connected to Israel. I went with my whole entire family, my sister, her family, my husband, my kids, everyone to Israel over the summer. So in June, so like I can still smell it, you know, like it's just still on my clothes basically. But my mom being in Israel and talking to her on the phone saying like, we're in war. Oh my God, I'm scared. The sirens are going off. Holy shit. Like she's in Tel Aviv at this moment. I couldn't not talk about it. I had no idea how quickly it was going to go from like, oh my gosh, look at poor Israel, to how much anti-Semitism and how much anti-Israel content there is in this world which I've now become like, it's a mission of mine to spread. A lot of my listeners are so kind of separated from the Middle East. Like they have no connections to the Middle East. They're maybe, you know, somewhere in Ohio, just say they've never met a lot of Jews. They don't know anyone from Palestine. Like when they think of the Middle East, they think of like the Kuwait War. You know, it feels like a dusty field with army. It's so not the case. It's such a real, like Israel to me is one of the most advanced like technological countries. That's where Waze was created. I record my podcast on Riverside. That's where they were created. Like all these huge companies are in Israel. It's a beautiful, forward thinking country where you can be yourself, where you can be gay, where you can, you know, wear a string thong bikini. Trust me, there was a lot of those girls out there. There was gay pride flags everywhere we went because it was Pride Month. It's such a beautiful, like accepting country. So of course I had to speak and explain it. What has happened since I started speaking? Lots of negative reviews on my podcast, lots of angry people on my YouTube, lots of lost subscribers, and lots of lost followers, lots of disgusting, awful, I can't even repeat them here, DMs.
I believe I have lots of Jewish friends. I see what's happening.
It's verbal abuse like I've never experienced, which by the way, I've never once sent anyone. I don't care if you are in Hamas. I'm not sending you a DM the way that I've gotten DMs, like as if I'm some hateful person. I'm just like sad. Right. But when I tell you getting an email from Linda, an old woman in Omaha the other day, who basically says, and by the way, she's not the only, I'm just using her as an example.
Sure.
And she says, I don't know a lot about Israel and I don't know a lot about Jews, but you have given a humane like connection to it. And I support Israel and I wasn't able to have children, but if I had a daughter, and I could cry, if I had a daughter, I would want her to be like you. So when you get emails like that, when you get messages like that, which thank God they outnumber the bad, it makes it worth it.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's such a hard one because myself included, people really, like to your point, we really don't know, you know, unless you are Israeli or, you know, you're an Israeli Jewish person or, you know, you're Palestinian, you live in it. You know, unfortunately, we're ignorant, especially Americans all around the world, to every country's history for the most part. You know, some people are very smart and worldly, but most of us, we go on with our day. We're doing pop culture, you know.
Sure.
So I've learned so much from you and so many other people. And I have two questions, which are very big questions.
Yeah.
Why do you think, now look, we can go back to the biblical sense, and maybe that's where you think it is. Why do you think there's so much anti-Semitism still? I know, you know, in the Bible, Jewish people are the chosen people, which is unfortunately brought you a lot of prosecution, you know. Do you think it goes back to that? Why do you think there's so much hate for Jewish? I'm like, guys,
I know
we're the Jewish chosen people. This is,
I know, you know,
thousands of years ago. Now we're all, at least in this country, for the most part, we're getting in more and more to an equal playing field where whatever you want to be and whatever you want to become, if you work your ass off, you can do it. So I don't know what this is about Jewish people. They don't have a hold on something. It's so weird.
It's you know, it's one of those like tale as old as times type of situation, right? It's like a myth that just keeps getting perpetuated because unfortunately, you know, and I can't blame them, but a lot of people that are born and raised in countries that, or to parents just say that don't like Jewish people, it's just what they learn. It's who it's like you grow up in this. Israel, from what without like giving a too big of a not like a story and whatever, from what I know and from what I've read, Israel and Jews in general used to be years and years and years ago, like I can't even tell you when, like feared of. People were scared. Okay. People were scared of Jews and scared of Israel wasn't even a state or country at the time. So scared of Jews. Okay. So I think the fear of, and I'm talking thousands of years ago, has kind of like perpetuated itself got to kind of like keep them, we can't let them get too powerful type of situation. But it's just ingrained in the world. And I don't understand it either. After the Holocaust, you would think that people would start to understand, and Jews, not just Jews, by the way, but Jews have contributed so many amazing things to society over the last few hundred years. Like Albert Einstein, like these incredible, incredible Jewish people. I have no idea. It's very hard and confusing for us, but we just have to deal with it. Like, we don't know the reasons. I just know that it's happening on college campuses. The education system is teaching anti-Semitism for the most part. It's really bad.
Mind-blowing. That's what's
really bad.
I mean, and yeah, I really cannot figure it out.